My name is Susan Cobb, and I'm a cloud success technologist. I'm part of the Customers for Life team. I'm on Premier Support, so I'm assigned to 6 or 7 accounts where I help when you have Premier Support. Today, I'm going to be presenting Browser Shortcuts Show Me the Way with my customer speaker. And this is Ruben Reynoso from the Schumacher Group. I went blank for a second. And he's going to show you some of the shortcuts that he uses just to make his day go quicker. I hope you saw this as a lightning round. So please feel free to, if you have any questions, stand up at the microphone. He's going to go through and do a little bit of a PowerPoint first and talk about some of the things that he does. And then in the end, he has a hands-on demo. He's going to show you some of the shortcuts there. If you have any questions, please, you can raise your hand or go up to the microphone. It is a 30-minute session, and it is being recorded. So if you do have any questions and we don't hear, I'll repeat them after you. Okay. And this is Ruben Reynoso.
All right, thank you, Susan. Well, welcome to the final day of Dreamforce. I'm actually quite impressed that this many people made it to this sold-out session. Friday's typically the day that people are really sessioned out, and I can tell everyone's dressed a little bit more casual today. So again, thank you for showing up to the session. Browser Shortcuts Show Me the Way. So let me tell you a little bit about myself. I work for a company called the Schumacher Group, and what we do, you probably got to do the safe harbor statement as well. We can't forget that. This will be the first session that's probably happened.
If you haven't seen the safe harbor statement, this is just saying that the things that we're going to talk about today are not guaranteed, but they are things that are that are planned. So I just want to make sure you see it one last time.
All right, so let's get back to that. My name is Ruben Reynoso, and I work for the Schumacher Group. And what the Schumacher Group primary line of business is, they are an emergency room, an emergency department staffing company. So they staff emergency room physicians and emergency room doctors. We have approximately 3,000 users within our org. We also maintain what they call a multi-org strategy. So we actually have 5 different Salesforce orgs. And the reason we do this is each line of business gets their own org. So you can only imagine that with those many orgs, it does get pretty crazy when administration, when you're talking about administration. We probably have about 8 Salesforce admins at this point. So across all those people, we definitely use any type of tips, any type of tricks, any type of shortcuts to really make our day more productive. We actually take advantage of pretty much every Salesforce feature in the platform. So let's go ahead and talk about, as I explained, how do browser shortcuts help us? Well, they really enable us to save so much time just to get to that particular section, just to get to that particular functionality that we're trying to administer. So the agenda I have today is first going to talk about Salesforce native tools. These are some of the Salesforce features that are built into Salesforce. You may or may not have already begun to use them, such as the quick find in the setup, the Force.com setup quick links, or the quick access menu. Another great thing really about these Salesforce native tools is it's not really just meant for beginner admins, which, this course is a beginner admin track. But really, if you think about how Salesforce has grown, some of these native tools have not been in the system for very long. So if you're a legacy administrator, you might have your way of doing something. And if that's the case, you really haven't taken advantage of some of these shortcuts that I'll show you today. The second part of our agenda is I'm going to talk about some other tips and tricks, just little things that I've learned as an administrator over the past 5 years. So to get started, we're going to show you the quick find and setup. This is a real simple search feature in the setup section. And to do that, I'll just do a quick demonstration here. So what we're going to do here is simply go to our setup page. And right now I'm at the home page. And here's another, if you haven't done this yet, this is great. Make a little shortcut. Bookmark to the setup page, so you don't have to click your name, setup, and you just quickly create shortcuts all over the place. So one example is in our org, we have many, many workflows. So all I really have to do if I want to get to a workflow is start typing the word workflow. And it automatically does the search for you there. This is just a real simple trick. It really enables you to not have to memorize where all these different functionalities and different pieces are within the Salesforce setup screen. So that's a real simple trick to quickly find what you're looking for. So we'll go back to our presentation here. This one, the find setting in the profile configuration. Now, one of the things that legacy Salesforce administrators would remember is that prior to maybe about a couple of years ago, the profile screen was set up so that every single feature and every single security enhancement was all on one page. And then probably about a year ago, they introduced a new kind of summarized profile configuration where they group things together, and you had to really drill down to find stuff. So what I'm going to demonstrate here is using the simple find settings in the profile configuration. So I'm going to choose my name and just go to my profile so that I can quickly get to my user detail screen. And I'm a system administrator, so let's say, for example, that so here's what I mean by the sections. You've got your app setup, your object settings, your app permissions, and so you really would have to know what you're searching for. So what I'm going to use is our find settings, and I'm going to put single sign-on, and it starts searching and just quickly takes you to that single sign-on setting. Again, something really simple that many of you may have already begun using or may not have begun using. So here's a great way to get to that. So we go back to the presentation here. Now, the quick access menu. This is a really fantastic. This is actually one of my favorite shortcuts. You may not have this turned on for all profiles. This is a user setting that you need to go into user and set up. So what this allows you to do is it allows you to gain quick access to the object settings of the particular object that you're in. So if you're in the accounts or the contacts object and you quickly want to get to the field security settings, or you want to get to the record types, you can quickly use this quick access menu. And I'm going to show you real quick how to turn that on and off first as an administrator. And like I said, this setting is user specific. So what you want to do is you want to go to your user record and make sure that the Force.com quick access menu is checked. We've been a legacy customer, so this was not available for a year ago. We actually had to go enable this. Not quite sure if this is enabled for any new setups. But if you can check that checkbox, save your settings, what this will allow you to do is when you go to the accounts object, here's the tab. We've renamed it accounts/hospitals because we are. That's basically for our business. The quick access menu allows you to quickly get to the settings such as the viewing of the fields. So if you wanted to start maintaining or editing some fields, security, or you wanted to rename a type or something, you can quickly use the quick access menu to get to that. But not only can you get to it just from that home tab, if you are a particular record itself, you can quickly get to that fields and objects and validation rules of this object, which would be the accounts object. The other quick thing to do is a lot of people will say, well, I need to edit the layout. I need to edit my page layout. So do I go to the view object, layout, click edit? Actually, this is a really quick way. Make sure you take advantage of the edit layout link right here. And what this will do is whatever record type you are in. So say you have multiple record types or you just have one record type. If you click the Edit Layout, it will enable you to go directly to the layout. And it will enable you to do, it actually goes right into the setup screen right there. And then you would be able to jump to other layouts. The other thing I like to do at this point too is I use the quick save. So if I am editing a layout, I'm not going to save, get out of the layout section, and then go back in. I'm going to quickly make a change, do the quick save, and then it stays in the same section, go to another layout, and do the same thing over and over again. As you can see, we've got many page layouts. So when this occurs, this is obviously one of those, as you begin to build out your platform, you might start off with one layout, but it quickly builds up when you have multiple layouts like this. Okay, this is a very simple location. Force.com has put together a group of any type of admin setting that you can imagine on the Force.com setup screen, quick links. This is simply nothing more than a screen that appears when you click the Edit section, when you click the Setup section. Take a look, take a look at what is in here, because oftentimes the quick links is overlooked here at the bottom. You don't have to necessarily go through the tabs. You don't have to go through the trees to search for a setting or even use the quick find. You can quickly get to features and setups from this section. You can go to any security settings. You can go to some of the data. You can start creating new users from this link. So this is a real simple, and what's even better is if you have this shortcutted, or you can just quickly get to it. The other thing that's on this page as well is your system overview. I'm not too sure if many of you have seen this, but this will give you an overview of what your Salesforce environment looks like at this time. It's a real great way to see where you're about to hit limits. Here's our business logic. We have a maximum of 1,000 business logic rules that you're allowed to create. So you can easily tell that we're approaching the limit at 808 workflow rules, and we've actually utilized 38% of our Apex code. So this is a great overview screen to get. Really, it's a health check of your Salesforce your Salesforce instance. So now we're going to kind of move into some of the more non-native features that Salesforce has built in. And we're going to show you some of the tips and tricks that I've learned over the years, just being an administrator. So I'm going to ask a question here. How many of you believe there is a 15-digit character that represents every record in Salesforce? Okay. How many of you believe there's an 18-digit character? All right. So you're both right, technically. According to Salesforce, as you see it in the browser, it is a 15-digit character. The one thing about this character is it is case sensitive. So this is very important to keep in mind, especially if you're running reports, exporting that data out from those reports, and trying to use Excel to do data transformation. What you'll find quickly is that Excel does not take into account that those records are case sensitive. So what will happen is you will actually have another record. If you just switch the capital A to a lowercase a, it'll take you to a different record. And if you're doing VLOOKUPs to do data transformation, this can wreak havoc on your mapping. So my suggestion is to export the data via Data Loader. Now when you do this, you will see that there's an 18-digit character and not the 15-digit character. This 18-digit character is case insensitive, so you can do your VLOOKUPs without worrying about mixing up records. I can show you a quick little demonstration of this. One thing about this tip as well is that you can easily get to any record using that 18-digit character. So here was an Excel data load that I exported. ABC Hospital, you see that the ID is the 18-digit. I'm just going to control copy that, head over to my Salesforce, and paste that at the top. And this will take me directly to that ABC Hospital. At the same time, I can take those last 3 digits away, and it'll still take me to the same record. So this is a real great way if you're doing data transformation. You got a really heavy export, and you want to go and spot check to make sure that your changes took effect. You can quickly jump to these records spot checking by clicking the ID. Okay, this is just an example of what I just showed you here with the using the ID. Actually, no, this is another slide. So one of the next tricks that I'm going to show you is be sure to use multiple browsers. Don't just stick with one browser. One thing about the session ID, when you log into Salesforce, your session is stored in that in every window, in every tab that opens up within that browser. So this comes into play when you're really doing administrative work on user profiles. So let's say someone called you up and said, hey, I can't see this field on this record. So you're going to attempt to go and solve this problem by going to their profile and looking at the security rights. But that may not be the problem. It might not be on the layout, or there might be other issues. So what you're going to find is that you're going to want to use the login as. Login as is a great way to log in as the user. I'll show you this real quick in a demonstration. It's a great way to log in as that user. And by default, what you have to do is go to that particular user. So I'm going to go to user Susan. And I've got the same browser open. So if I wanted to log in as her, I've got the login button here. And I'm logged in as her. However, that session retained in all the other sections. So if I'm trying to go and change, build a new user, actually, Susan, you do have administrative rights, so you can actually build a user. But you'll still see that you're logged in as Susan. So a great way to do this and combat this is simply just open a brand new browser. And in a new, like I've got Firefox, for instance, and that way you can quickly jump browsers. And here's my link to Salesforce right here. You can quickly jump browsers and make sure that that setting is fixed, is correct, that the troubleshooting is over, and great way to maintain your sessions and not get them confused. We're going to go to the other thing actually about the login. By default, Salesforce does not turn this on for you, and I'm not too sure if this is only available on certain types of accounts. But what you have to do in order to log in as a user is you have to request login rights access by sending them this request and sending them access. Well, that really is it really takes some time away from being able to administer. First of all, you've got to wait for them to respond. Sometimes I pick up the phone like, hey, could you please respond and say yes to this? So one thing you could do, one thing we've done with our org is we've talked to our success rep, and there's a setting that they can turn on that would allow all administrators rights to log into any user. So you don't have to ask the permission anymore. It's automatic across all users. So that's a real time saver. We don't have to request permission anymore. And I'm going to go ahead and log out as Susan. Automatically takes me back to my original login. Okay, this is another real simple right-clicking. When do you use right-click to open up a new tab or new window? A great example of this is working case management. If you're working a case management system and you're working cases from a queue, one thing that's kind of annoying is having to go back to that cases, go back to that drop down to the queue that you're working on, and once you've worked the ticket. So this is real simple. Just right-click and open up in new tabs. So as you work those cases and you close them and you drop off your list, just close those tabs and you will still be on your original screen right here. So great way to how to use that multiple tabs within all the browsers. I think it works basically tabs within all browsers, Mozilla, Firefox, IE, Google Chrome. And then what we got is another one called the rows per page. This is kind of very seldom used, and many people may have not noticed this in the address bar. But in many sections in Salesforce, you have a lot of settings that take over multiple pages. And you have to click on pages or you have to click the More button and see more of those settings. So one real great trick is to add the rows per page URL parameter. And I'll demonstrate how this works. Let's say in this case, I'm going to use the quick find to get me to my workflows. And as you could tell, the workflow rules, we were at 808 workflows out of 1,000, so there's pages and pages of workflows. And oftentimes in administrative naming conventions, you don't really remember the names of 800 codes. So if someone says, hey, some workflow's not working correctly, you're going to try to remember what you named that workflow. So you're going to want to do the control find, right? Problem with that is you're only limited, and it's paged within Salesforce. So you'd have to take a look at, probably about 200 per page and click to the next page, or maybe you could use the alphabet to sort by the rule name. However, any location where you see this more or fewer, this is a great tip. This is a great indication that you can use the rows per page. So if I click more and then I come up to my browser tab, you'll see that it says and rows per page. By default, it's 210. Just add 3 more zeros to that. And voila, I have all 800 workflows all on one page. Now when I need to search, I can do my control find and start searching the keywords. So that is a really great tip, because not only does this work within many different areas within the Salesforce administration, but it actually also is a great location, is a great feature to use when you're creating change sets. If you have sandboxes and you're trying to make developments in sandboxes first, and then you want to build change sets to deploy them to your production environment, how many of you in this room have actually gotten to that point, building change sets? Okay. So you're going to love this then, because what is the one problem with building a change set is that you have this pagination thing as well. And if you check the checkboxes and then you try to click the next page, you actually lose the checkboxes that you checked on the previous page. So what you have to do is you have to hit save and then go back to that section and find a different field. So what I'll show you here is adding change set components. I can't tell you really how many fields that we have in our Salesforce environment. Thousands and thousands of fields. We've got like 50 custom objects. So if you choose these two to deploy and then you click the next button, it actually unchecks those, and you would have to actually hit add to change set and then go back. So again, you can scroll down, you can click the more, rows per page. Now, there still is a limitation on how many records that it can display on one single page. However, it's way more than the original setting. So this is another great way to use the rows per page and get more fields per page than you were able to.